What's up, guys? Sergio here. So today we're going to do episode 4 of my training series, and today we're going to be looking at legs. Now, we already did legs before, but this was more of a quad focus. So this leg day that I'm going to show you is another leg day that I do during the week, and this is going to be hamstring focused. So let's jump right in. Starting off my leg day, I like to start off with a back extension or back hyper. Now the back hyper is used for just a warm up for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 3 sets of 20 to start off, and I'm just using this to warm up my legs and warm up my back for actually the next exercise I'm going to be doing. So a couple pointers or keys to look at when doing back hyper is you want to make sure that you are engaging from the ground up, so to speak. So when you're raising yourself up on the back hyper, you want to make sure that you're engaging your calves and then your hamstrings and then your glutes and then your lower back and then all the way up to your shoulders. So that way you're ensuring that you're keeping your muscles completely engaged and you're not working the wrong thing. It's also important to make sure that you have the back hyper seat or the pad that your hips rest on at the right height. I like to make sure that the pad comes up right to the top of my hips, so that way I have clearance to go as low as possible. So after I finish doing the back hyper, I move on to deadlifts. And so the deadlifts that I'm doing here are really more of just a warm up for my Romanian deadlifts that I'm going to do afterwards. So I'm only doing 2 sets of the deadlift. I guess I would say that Romanian deadlifts are a little bit superior to regular deadlifts when you're just trying to target your hamstrings. The main take home with the Romanian deadlifts is keeping your back straight. You're hinging at your hips and you're really making sure that you're engaging your hamstrings every time you stand back up. One thing that helps me to make sure that I'm engaging my hamstrings is that I squeeze my glutes at the top of the movement. After completing Romanian deadlifts, I move on to the lying hamstring curl machine. One thing with the lying hamstring curl is to make sure that you have that back roller on the right spot in your leg. So I like to have it right above my heel, so probably about where my ankle is. This is a good place to set the roller, but that way I'm getting a good range of motion and it's not feeling awkward or uncomfortable when I'm trying to curl the pad. And the other thing is always make sure you're bringing that pad all the way up to your butt. You know, if you're not bringing it all the way up, then you're pretty much wasting your time when it comes to that. So the next machine that I move on to is the adductor machine. If you saw my other leg day that was quad focused, I was using the adductor machine, which works the inner part of the leg. So it's just the opposite now. So the adduction machine is working the outer part of my leg, and it also targets the glutes as well. So it kind of hits your glutes and a little bit of the vastus lateralis, which is the outer part of the quad. So those are just some of the muscles that it works there. After the adduction machine, I'm gonna move on to single leg seated hamstring curls. As you can see, I'm using my BFR straps, which stands for blood flow resistance training. And if you haven't seen my video on that, basically what BFR training is using these straps to occlude blood flow to specific muscle groups that will then elicit a anabolic response to that given muscle and also the muscles around it. The great thing about BFR training is that you don't need a whole lot of weight. After doing the single seated leg curls, I'm gonna go back to the back hyper again. At this time, my muscles are a little bit more fatigued, so doing the back hyper is a great exercise to just continue to encourage stimulation and muscle activation in the glutes and the hamstrings. So with this, again, I'm doing another 3 sets of 20. but also I will superset this with bicep curls. And just like I did on my other leg day where I was working my triceps just to get a little extra work in on them because that's an area that I need to bring up, I'm doing the same thing with the bicep curls here. After these exercises, I'm going to move on to calves. And as I stated last time in my previous episodes, I do calves 3 times a week. So this is the first time that I do calves because this is actually the first leg day that I do for the week. So I'm going to do 4 sets standing calf raises using the hack squat machine, and then 4 sets seated calf raises using the seated calf raise. So all the same rules apply. I'm trying to get good range of motion, but also making sure that I'm doing an adequate amount of reps to create good muscle stimulation in the calves. So after my 8 sets of calves, I will do 1 final set of single calf raises, but this time I'm going to use the seated calf raise machine instead of doing the donkey calf raises that I did on my other leg day. This time I'm going to do seated, and it's just going to be single leg. It'll be about 15 reps or so, and just 1 set, and that's just a good finisher for the calves. So after the calves are all wrapped up, I'm going to move on to my abdominals, and as I said before in other videos, I do abs 3 times a week as well. So same rules apply, 6 sets total, and usually about 20 to 30 reps depending on the exercise for each set. So today I'm doing an abdominal cable crunch. So this one is targeting more of the top abdominals, but I would say top to mid abdominals. I'm doing about 30 reps of this one, and this one is one that I really enjoy. It just keeps tension on your abdominals the entire time, and having the added weight really causes you to get a really good contraction in the abdominals. I also like it because it really doesn't affect your back, which a lot of times when doing certain ab exercises, when you're doing like a crunch or a sit-up, it can really have an impact on your lower back. But this one I really like because you really don't have to worry about that issue at all. So after that, I move on to the cable torso twist, which you have already seen before if you've seen my last leg day video. This one is just such a great one to do for your obliques. So I really try to make sure I'm doing this one at least once, if not twice a week. So the last exercise I want to do is a full sit-up on the decline bench, which is different than the decline crunches that I did on my other leg day video. And really the difference that I find is just a different level of engagement when doing a full sit-up. You probably don't need to do as many repetitions to get the same type of muscle stimulation that you get when doing the decline crunches, just because it's a full sit-up. So there's a lot more weight that you have to move over a distance when doing a full sit-up like this. But the big take home here is just to make sure that you're keeping your abs engaged, especially at the bottom of the movement, and that you're not shifting the tension onto your lower back. That's a mistake that a lot of people make when doing a full sit-up. So if that is something that you're struggling with, then you might want to stick with just the decline crunches until you get your abdominals strong enough to stay engaged throughout the whole movement. Alright guys, well that's going to be it for this video. If you guys did like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you guys have not subscribed to my channel yet, please go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.